สัพเพพุทธาภรปัตตาปัจเจกานันจะยังปลังอรหันตานันจะเตเชนระคังคันธามิสัพพโสเตตลัตตาสกิตาเวโรนาพุทธศาสเนอาโรกาสกิตาโคทัสหัสสัพเพหิยาติพีสัพพพุทธานุภาเวนะสัพพธรรมานุภาเวนะสัพพสังฆานุภาเวนะสัทธาโสติปะวันตุเต
May I pay my deepest respect to the Triple Gem and the Great Master. May I pay respect to all the senior monks and all venerables. And good evening, all participants. Welcome to our 15th day of the certificate program, Pali Chanting with English translations. On this commemoration of Vesak Day and celebration of 81st year of Luang Por Thammachayo. Today marks our final teaching session as we complete our exploration of the Dhammacakkappavattanasutta. Over the past 2 days, we have studied the historical context and examine the Four Noble Truths in detail. Today, we will focus on the culminating sections of this sutta, which describe the path to full awakening, the arising of the Dhamma eyes, and the response of beings to this momentous turning of the wheel of Dhamma. These concluding sections of the sutta are particularly powerful as they show the transformative impact of the Buddha's teaching. And for our final teaching session, we welcome once more Venerable Passcode to guide us through the concluding sections of Dhammacakkappavattanasutta. Throughout these sessions, Venerable Passcode has shared insights drawn from his decades of monastic practice, plus direct mentoring by Luang Por Thatta Chiwo. His ability has helped us understand and appreciate the timeless treasure of the Buddha's wisdom. And with deep gratitude, please welcome Venerable Passcode for our concluding exploration of the Dhammacakkappavattanasutta. May I invite all the lay participants to offer our respect to the teaching monk. Bow, bow, bow. ขอกราบอาราธนาพระอาจารย์ครับ
อะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธภควาพุทธังภควันตังอภิวาเทมิสวากาโตภควตาธัมโมธัมมังนัมมัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนภควโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามิอันตมยังพุทธสสะภควโตปุปปะกะนะมะการังกะโรมาเสนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะ I extend my humble respect to the senior monks, Good evening and welcome again for the final session for the Dhammacakkappavattanasutta. So the first 2 days I have covered the historical part and also the content of the Dhammacakkappavattanasutta that we usually explain and understand in terms of the how noble, the Four Noble Truth, the middle way, that generally is described. Before we go down further on this road, there are a couple of the points that when learning Dhammacakkappavattanasutta that we need to put into account. First of all, the group of audience. The Buddha taught this sutta to the group of 5 monks called Panchavakkiya. Don't forget that these are sons of Brahmin. Brahmin who made the prophecy when Prince Siddhartha was born. Gontaya himself was the one who was there presenting during the time to make the prophecy. The other 4 were the sons of other Brahmins presented at the same time. So they are not just normal practitioners. They are a type of ascetic who already engaged in some practice. And when Prince Siddhartha left the palace to ordain, they were there with them. They wait for him actually. So that they wanted to join him with the intention and strong belief that Prince Siddhartha will discover moksha or liberation. So whatever Prince Siddhartha was practicing, they would. They did the same. As Prince Siddhartha already achieved so-called rupachana and arupachana, form absorption and formless absorption. Of course, he already reached that level that both of his teachers wanted him to teach on their behalf. And that's what they were practicing besides self-mortification. So they are not just somebody who doesn't know any Dhamma, who didn't know any Dhamma or any practice at all. They were someone who fully dedicated themselves in the practice. So they really engaged so strongly with what they believe in and what they practice. And that's why the very first part of the Dhammacakkappavattanasutta teaching was started by, look, this is what I have discovered. Ete te pikkhave upo ante anupakamma machchima. But there's a middle way that is not about 2 paths, not too extreme self-nullification or indulging in sensual pleasure. That's the one and only way, which is the middle path. That's why you have to keep emphasizing them in order for them to let go or to detach from that self-purification practice. So that's actually one of the first points that we have to take into consideration. Secondly, since this is the first teaching of the Buddha, what was the Buddha's intention when he delivered this sermon? Don't forget that at that time, there's only one enlightened person, which is the Buddha himself. So if he's going to continue to expound his teachings, there must be witness, there must be proof that what he discovered is universally attainable. And that's another purpose. So when he gave the Dhammacakkappavattanasutta, the sole purpose of it too is to ensure at least the first stage of enlightenment. He didn't just, give, like I'm talking to you, we're learning theoretically, we understand as some knowledge. Even, I can repeat these sessions 10 more times. It's not easy for us to reach the state of enlightenment, even the first stage. But when the Buddha gave it, that's what he aimed for. At least one of them would be able to see what he see, know what he knew. So that's the depth and the profoundness of the sutta. So it's not just, we learn it theoretically. So for today, the next part that we're going to go down on this road, I would like to convey it based on what Luang Pu, what Pak Nam, the great master, would explain, or Luang Pa would explain, which based more on the meditative approach rather than theoretical approach, because the best way to understand it is to put yourself just like you are one of the group of 5 monks. Imagine how intense you have been practiced. When you were, imagine that Prince Siddhartha at that time in the forest practicing self-mortification. He thought to himself, he stopped eating. Would you be around having full meal in front of him? You wouldn't, right? So same thing with the sense of how they were practiced at the time. He wouldn't be they wouldn't be forcing themselves to eat in front of him too. They would practice with them. So now, Siddhartha, because of his accumulation perfections, he could realize that engagement in self-mortification wouldn't deliver the result. But they don't. These 5 months, they haven't understood that. So all of this is to finally tell them that, look, what you have believed in is not true. And since they are Brahmin, what they have practiced before as jhana or absorptions, this is what Lampa would explain as jhana outside of the body. Because the practice in those days with all the hermits was to keep focus to keep attention and focus outside, whether it's projection with sometimes using, for example, fire, water, different elements, or just an empty space, until finally they attain so-called absorption outside of the body. Even though it's outside of the body, but it is still powerful enough to give some knowledge, to give some insight and understanding. It may not be as profound as Prisiddhata attained, or as Lumpu explained as the middle way within. But with that is enough for what? Enough to at least see past lives, see rebirth, see the result of karma, but may not be able to explore the whole thing. And that's actually the significance of it. So the next part of the Dhammacakkappavattanasutta is actually going to go down the path that not only he have to explain to them that you can't just keep on practicing, holding on to that outside of the body jhana that you already been either attained or practice, but it's also to bring it back. And that's why yesterday, when I showed you this, the part of the 3 tanhas or 3 desire. The first desire is common because that's what we have, that's what we are. The tanha that actually coming from us, a tanha that come from sensual desire indulgent. But the other 2 is the tanha for becoming and for non-becoming. And when translate in English, it makes no sense. But when Pawa and Vibhava, what Pawa is talking about? Pawa as Rupa Brahman realm, the realm of the attainment of person who reached the state of absorptions, both form and formless. And because in those days, with all this hermit practice, and with the outside of the body absorption, that's the ultimate. That's what they have believed to be the ultimate reaching of what they could practice. And that is why it is what they believe they should pursue. So Prince Siddhartha came to deliver the Dhammacakkappavattanasutta to tell them, look, that's not it. If you keep holding on to it and you won't let go, there's no further path. So you gotta have to what? To abandon it. And that leads to the next part in the Dhammacakkappavattanasutta, when he would explain it as the cessations of nirodho, the cessation of sufferings, come from renouncing, relinquished, released, and let go. Which means completely let go your desire or your craving for becoming or for non-becoming. All of that, let go. Meaning, what you have been practiced, what you have already attained that state, let go. If you keep sticking on with it, you won't. Why? Because absorption, even though it may not be the path to enlightenment, is still feeling happy, feeling so much joy, feeling so much power. If you are reading the Tipitaka, there will be a story, even the Buddha in past life would practice different types of the practice before. He could attain this some ability. There was even a story about being born as a hermit, being able to fly and receive the food and fly back. So he could do that already with the absorptions outside of the body. So don't we just think that because it's not the one and only path that lead to liberation, it means nothing at all. And that's why it was so joyful that those who were reborn in the Brahman and formless Brahman realm, they live for a very long time. They enjoy that happiness from jhana. And it's a lot greater than the physical pleasure. And that is why it's so hard for them to let go. So letting go of that will allow them to finally explore beyond that state of what we really understand. And that's why the word Nirodha not only means cessation. Luang Pu, the great master, described this word as stop. And for me, I understood it completely different. Because since I was a kid, I have always learned that the word cessation or Nirodha means just, cease to exist. And the Eightfold Path was explained as the path to cessation. And I was always having that curiosity that why number 4, the path, the method, came after cessation of suffering. They should came before. But after Luang Por explained that because the word stop or to stop is the key to success, as Luang Por explained, it's actually open the one and only path. And this is what the great master used the word Ekantayamaka, the one and only road. Ekantayamaka. So the middle path that is explained now is not just the middle path that we usually explain as the lifestyle, but it's the middle path in the meditative state. Because from this point on, what happened is not just theoretical or intellectual understanding, is through the meditative realization. And thus we open the path deeper, layers of layers. So the next part of Dhammacakkappavattanasutta is going to continue to go down that further realization that comes with seeings and all that. So before we get to that point, for us in the physical aspect, that we have not reached the level to use our inner bodies or the Dhammakaya body to examine the Noble Four Noble Truth, at least understand first that for the Eightfold Path, there are of course many layers, whether it's going to be just the physical part, because if I can explain it like this, you see that right view is the cause of whole cycle of the middle path, of the Eightfold Path. Because of the right view, it leads to intent, it leads to action, speech and action, livelihood. When I put more effort, I become more mindful. From mindfulness leads to concentration. Concentration allows the mind to be clearer and leads to the second cycle of the same thing, overall cycle of the cycle until reaching enlightenment. That is what it is. Meaning that the Eightfold Path, the first cycle, is not the same as the second cycle. It's not the same as the third cycle. But what are they? So at least look in terms of this. We can also describe the Eightfold Path a bit more physical level into Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Sila means precept, Samadhi means concentration, and Panya means wisdom. So these are also called the Trisikha, Tikasika, which is the 3 aspects of learning in Buddhism. And interestingly enough, even the word Sikha, Sa means self, and Ika means to see. So the word learning, the word education in Buddhism talks about being able to see ourselves. Seeing what? See the level of precepts, concentration, and wisdom that I have obtained and I have trained. But the question would be, how can I train myself? How can I develop my sila, my samadhi, my panya? And that's when Luang Por explained a bit further that in order to develop that on the daily basis, we need to break it down a bit further. And of course, it's starting from Sila. What is Sila? Sila is discipline. Because Sila talks about what I should do and what I shouldn't be doing. And all the codes of verbal and physical behavior are discipline. And that's why whenever we talk about discipline, now it's not just abstain from killing, from all these other, but discipline of what? Discipline of time, discipline of organization. There are many aspects of discipline. But all of them is all about being able to aware of my physical and verbal action. What should I do at the moment? What should I say and what I shouldn't say? So when I keep my discipline, what is the right time, what is not to do, what is to do. And that is really the Tao aspect of discipline. And second, samadhi, concentration, comes from patience. Because patience in Buddhism, or the word khanti, talks about four things, four aspects of patience, which are conditions that we have to face. And in order to go through life, we have to endure all of these. The first one is physical, and the physical hardship. It's going to be sunny, it's going to be rainy, it's going to be hard out there, but that is the first part that we have to be patient. Two, our own discomfort, our own hardship, our own body discomfort, meaning that my body may not be as ready. It's going to be painful, it's going to be tired, but I need to be patient. The third one is with people and their words. Of course, we are out there. We are not going to be out there alone. We're going to have to meet people. And that, of course, we're going to lead to having conflicts, disagreement, which we have to be patient in order not to engage in negative karma. And of course, the last one is from our own kilesa or defilements, or we can even use the word temptation. Our mind always being distracted, just like fish with a little bait, and always like to go after those bait. But that also means that in order for us to practice is to keep our mind away from not taking the bait. And that is to be patient with our own defilements. And when I become more patient, that effort, mindfulness, and concentration will develop. For panya, or wisdom, come from practicing respect. And the word respect doesn't mean doing this, because this is the act of showing respect. The word respect does mean being able to recognize positive aspect of other people, places, situation, or objects, so that we can absorb that positivity into ourselves. That's actually the true meaning, definition of the word respect. And when respect, it means we open up our mind. And when our mind is open, we have better view, and better view leads to better resolve. So you see that if it's going to go breaking down to physical aspect, at least put discipline, patience, and respect into your life, into your practice. And that at least will allow us to follow through with the Eightfold Path further and further. Another thing that I need to mention, that actually the way we call Yoniso Manasikara, which is the way of thinking in Buddhism, the right view, or samadhi, comes from two sources. The first one is Kalalamitta, which is true friends, beneficial friends. It could be good guidance. If you have friends to give you good knowledge, that is somebody that will be helpful, help develop the right view. But without Yoniso Manasikara, it's going to be tough. And Yoniso Manasikara is our self-called thoroughly thinking, analytical thinking. But if I can break it down, the word, besides what you see on the screen, Yoni means origin, Mana means mind, Kara means task. So the task of the mind is to trace the root cause. And if you get a chance to look at the Buddhist text, the way Buddha explains something when it's really related to liberation, realizations, he's always tracing back to the origin. Like even the Dhammacakkappavattanasutta, in the Four Noble Truths, there is sufferings. What caused sufferings? Let's look back. Desire. What types of desire? Sensual pleasure, becoming, not becoming. So there are other Dharma teachings that Buddha explained in this way, that tracing back to the root cause. And that actually why Dhammacakkappavattanasutta is very significant, because one of the conclusions of the passage comes down to one sentence. Anything that has the origination has a cessation. It sounds very philosophical in the way that things that what happened in the moment, there is an origin and there is a cessation of what's going on. Simply what it means. Even that is still abstract enough, but that for someone who have been practicing for cultivating for lifetimes, we're able to attain a lot of with just one passage, like Sariputtara and Moggallana. This is exactly the same passage I understood, and it came right here from Dhammacakkappavattanasutta. And you see that they talk about tracing to the origin to find a cessation. That's what's going on. But is it done by intellectual thinking? No, it's not. It's done by seeing inside, which is going to happen from this point on after the second part of the Dhammacakkappavattanasutta. In this part of Dhammacakkappavattanasutta, the Buddha talks about so-called 3 rounds of 12 permutation. In these 3 rounds and 12 permutation, you roughly can guess that each permutation will be related to Four Noble Truths. So each of the truth will be reflected on 3 times. From there's an existence of sufferings, there's an origin of sufferings, there's a cessation of sufferings, and there's a path to cessation of the sufferings. All of this will slowly go through it. And I can just show you the conclusion in one passage like this, but still make no sense, to be honest. What does it mean? First round of this 12 permutation, I see suffering exists. Second round, that suffering should be realized. 3, I have realized that suffering exists. Why? Why it's just, not why it has to be 3 rounds. Why can't it just, I know that it already exists, I should realize it exists, right? What is the difference? And then move to the second one, craving causes sufferings. And it should be avoided. I realize it should be avoided. And then having been able to abandon or avoid it, then complete the other permutation of the second round. And then to the cessation of suffering can be attained and to be pursued and having able to pursue it. You see that why it has to be described in that way, one by one by one. Already that the path exists, it should be observed, and having completed the practice of having completed the observation. It makes no sense if we just look at it. And this is the part when we take the chanting, we actually go through them because they are repeatedly with minor differences in each of the 12 rounds, 12 permutations. For example, like the very first one. This is the first one. Itang tukkhaṃ ariya satchanti me bhikkhave pupphe ananutesu dhammesu jakkhung uttapati yānaṃ uttapati paññā uttapati vicchā uttapati āloko uttapati taṅkho panithaṃ. And the difference is only just this part, you see. Those is just the minor differences here, which add up from this passage. Add up before pick away. Taṅkho panithaṃ tukkhaṃ ariya satchanti pariyanti me bhikkhave. All this and that's what most time when we learn Dhammacakkappavattanasutta, we focus on that differences. And when that differences is focused, what you got is the table I just presented. For me, what we just right in front of us and we tend to forget is this. Why all of this seems to be repeating? Jakkhung, yānaṃ, paññā, vicchā, alogo. One thing that is interesting in Dhammacakkappavattanasutta is that each time the Buddha mentioned the word seeing, Jakkung is mentioned from the very beginning, from the first day that we talk about, if you still remember, that when I show avoiding the extremes, Majjhima Patipata, the middle way realized by Tathagata, and then Jakkukarani producing insight, producing seeing. Jnanakarani producing knowledge. See and know come together. Like when I be able to see something, I know what it is out there. It's not just for me to guess. Imagine if I have to touch an elephant with blindfold. I can only guess what it looked like, but I can't tell what it exactly looked like. It could be just one leg of an elephant rather than the whole elephant. So I couldn't really thoroughly understand or realize what it is. And that's why the word Jakkung is also mentioned again in the whole 12 permutations. So what does that mean? It means that each round that the Buddha explained from this point, he didn't just talk about it. And the group of 5 monks, they just listened to it. They let the mind come. Remember the slide before when we talk about Nirodha being stopping at the center. And because of the pathway, they were able to what? The mind became still and move deeper down. And when the mind becomes still, it becomes clear. What it produces is what? Vision, seeing. Seeing, oh, that what suffering is. Seeing really the suffering, what it's like. Because Yanang also talks about Vipassana Jnana, the rise and fall of elements, the rise and fall of khandha, the cessation of the degradation of the khandha, not to be hold on, the 9 different types of jhana that we talk about, that Pali end up realizing this is something impermanent that should be holding on to, until that becomes wisdom, understanding the beginning and the end of this. And that leads to vicca. Vicca, the knowledge here is vicca. And vicca is what? Vicca is actually something that needs to be replaced from losing it. Buddha talks about everyone born into this world. The origin of all this starting from avijja, ignorance. And this is the direct translation of avijja, ignorance. And that usually translates as vicca, knowledge, without. Which means when I was born, I don't know anything. I don't know where I'm from. I don't know where I'm going to go. I don't know what I have to do. I don't know the reason of my existence. I have no idea. So that's avijja that we usually explain. The Great Master, he didn't just translate avijja as not knowing, but he also translated as know it wrong. Doesn't mean that we don't know anything at all. We know. But what we know is not the truth. When we don't know the truth, what we behave, what we take as significance and important parts of life, for example, pursuing promotions, jobs, buying cars and houses that keep getting bigger, that because we pursue something that is not the truth. And that's why the word noble truth exists, because it is to realize vicca, which are reveal the truth, satya. And because of the vicca, this is one of the really core part of the Buddhist practice and teachings, that because these paticca samuppatta, dependent origination that bind us with the cycle of rebirth, from avijjas to formations, consciousness, all of that you see, all the way to birth, aging, and death. And I just mentioned to you, yoniso manasikara, tracing back to the root cause. So in that passage, it's all about slowly see dukkha from what? From here. Because the dukkha, at the beginning, what we talk about, Shati pitukkha, chara pitukkha, maranang pitukkha, soka pariteva tukkato manasupayasa pitukkha, apiyehi samayoko tukko, piyehi samayoko tukko, which is just birth, aging, death, sorrow, lamentations, resentment, depressions, losing what we love, not getting what we want, as a cause of suffering. And you see here, sufferings. Where did it come from? Becoming, clinging, craving. So, craving, tanha, same word. See? Right here. So basically that all the way to because we are clouded by avijja. And this is actually why Luang Pu, the great master, went out on his journey of the practice. Because if you get a chance to read the Luang Pu biography, Luang Pu got a scripture, manuscript. The manuscript that he got is exactly this one, Paticcasamuppatta. It talks about avijja, and Luang Pu was thinking the origin of the root cause that Buddha mentioned is avijja, ignorance. Suddenly we don't know. Does it mean we know before? Why didn't we know? What caused the loss of knowledge? And that's why Luang Pu went into his study, tried to find out what caused avijja, was beyond that. And leads to Luang Pu's discovery of the Dhammakaya method, meditation and knowledge of Dhammakaya, to trace back. But in this, and you will also see how being able to realize, seeing the sufferings all the way to cause of sufferings, and understand that in order to vijja is what vijja, so that if I can eliminate this, there is no birth, there is no aging, there is no sufferings that will come afterward. So I have to eliminate this cessations, cycle after cycle after cycle. And that's why each round contains jakung, 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 yanang, yanang, yanang. The differences that happen each round coming from each time the mind becomes still, the seeing and the knowing come more. Come more because of what? Because of the brightness or alogo. The mind is bright from the beginning. This is the Buddha's word. The Buddha explained this in his word. In Pali, Papassa ra mitang pikkave jittang tanjakko akan tuketi. So radiant Dhamma is the radiant monks is this mind. It is defined by transient defilements. That's the passage of the Buddha. There are many ways to explain it. But for Luang Pu, the great master, for Luang Po, they explain that the mind is originally bright. Bright enough to see what is inside, what is the sufferings, what is the lifetime of each sufferings that cause it. In this lifetime, I was born as this person, and because of this karma, I have come to this result. And then the next lifetime, because of that karma, it caused to be reborn in this family, in this age, with this status, with this wealth, and suffer from this cause and continue to prove that because all these endless sufferings come from defilements that cause me to engage in karma and result into action lifetime after lifetime. Does it happen to me? No. To other people too. When the Buddha enlightenment, that exact event happened, because when the Buddha enlightenment happens in 3 watches of the night. The first watch is Pupenivassanussatiyan, the ability to recollect his own past life. And that's what happened to the Buddha. He traced back from the Principata lifetime to the one before that, all the way, hundreds of thousands of lifetimes, uncountable lifetimes, to see, oh, I become this guy because I have done that in this life, and because I have done that in this life, back and further back. Until from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., that's the first watch of the night. In the second watch, he attained the second ability, Jutupapanayan, which is ability to see that this also happened with others beings too, not just him. The same pattern happened with everything. Every, bugs, the mosquitoes, elephant, human, his father, his son, everybody, same thing, trace back, which prove law of karma. And the cause of all this, that in the mind, So that is from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. And the last watch of the night from 2 to 6, he finally attained Savakaya Yan, which is the ability to eradicate defilements completely. So to what? From seeing all that to go to in the mind, there's a defilements right there. That is to be removed, but brightness. So obtain brightness over and over again. When the brightness return, it brings what? The brightness return, it brings vision, insight, wisdom, knowledge. Cycle after cycle. And that's why this one explain is like this. The first part, I see there is something called sufferings. And it should be comprehended. And have already comprehended. Because the seeing from here, the brightness from here, are not the same. The brightness of the mind, and something that Luang Por explained a lot. When I mentioned before about the absorption outside of the body, think of it this way. He explained like this. If I have an object, imagine this mouse, if it's cross-section, if it cut half from the top, and I show you like this in the dark, and give you a torch, and when you pass your torch, you will see this object from one direction. It's easy to see this as a full or complete mouse, even though I already cut it in half, correct? Exactly. But if I want to see everything, I have to bring it closer to me. And that's when I be able to see everything from all angles. If you still remember that I present to you the word jakku before, and there are many, many meanings of the word jakku. From just different types of seeings, all the way to samanta jaksu. Samanta jaksu all around, all angles at once, until there is no concealment. That's the difference. Through the eyes of the Dhammakaya, the seeing is not from a distance, so I only see half of the story, but I see everything, how the beginning, how the end, past, present, and future in one shot. That's what the seeing with the Dhammakaya eyes, the Dhammacakkappavattanasutta is like. And that is the types of seeing that Luang Por was explaining. Luang Por said, when people who use the absorption outside of the body, they were able to see what? See the going, the beginning and the end of the beings, different karmas, a given effect, lifetime, reborn. They could see that, but they have not been able to see the complete picture. It's like watching a movie with just one scene and assume the rest, which is different from seeing the whole beginning when it was in the production all the way to it's already been broadcasting to the end. That's seeing must come from inside. And that is why when the mind stands still at the center, this is what's going on, layers of layers of layers, from this into second time, samutayo, or the cause of suffering. I know there is actually the truth of origination of sufferings is in here. This I should be able to avoid it, and having been able to avoid it, which means from these seeings, this is must be avoided, and this brightness becomes stronger until what? This tanha is already avoided or erased or eradicated because of brightness. Like if the room is dark and I turn on the light, the darkness is gone. That's what it's like. Until the third time, the third of the truth, that the cessation, the ceasing suffering, that is the ceasing of suffering, which means it can end. Because I turn on the light, it's gone. And this actually what needs to be pursued further, because I have seen deeper. There are more. So more brightness, it should be pursued further, and I have done that. Become able to pursue until the final one, that path that leads you still to continue to practice. There is a path. That path, what path? The middle world within, Ekantaya, brighter and brighter, all the way to stopping the mind further. That's actually coming from seeing inside, because each of these 12 permutations, Jakkhung, seeing, Yanang, insight, Panya, wisdom, Vichha, knowledge, Alogo, brightness, increasing each time, further and further. And what was make it so? different. And after the 12 rounds and 12, the 3 rounds of 12 permutation, the Buddha came to this point. ยาวกีวันจะเมพิกเวอิเมสุจตุสุอริยสัจเจสุเอวันติปริวัตตังทวาทสาการังยถาภูตังญาณทัสสนังนสวิสุทธังอโหสิ The Buddha said, as this, at the before this, my knowledge and vision, see, my knowledge and vision, but vision here, the Buddha did not use the word jakkhung. The Buddha used the word tassanang, tassana, yana tassana. See, seeing in visions, yana tassana, is not pure. Buddha said that before this, when my visions and knowledge weren't of the 3 rounds of 12 permutation, all the Four Noble Truths that go after rounds and rounds and rounds, wasn't pure, he never claimed to have awakened to anybody. Before this, never claimed at all. So that's why Nevatawa ham pikave satevake loke samarake mara sapramake brahman. Sasaman, all of this to the end. So he never claimed when it wasn't pure. That's why when he came to the Guru of Five Monks the very first time after he attained enlightenment, he said, you shouldn't treat me like that. I have discovered the knowledge. And that's when he ready to claim. The reason he was ready to claim because, but, see, yato jakho me pikave ime su jatu su ariya satye su evanti parivattang tawata sakarang yatha putang yanatasanang su visutang ahosi. But when my seeing of vision and knowledge of the Four Noble Truth come from these 3 rounds and 12 permutation was completely, thoroughly purified, I claim that I have awakened perfect enlightenment. With the Devas, with the Maras, with the Brahman, with all generations of ascetics and Brahmin. This comes from knowledge. And not only just to know that, the Four Noble Truth, that round and round, the insights or the seeings become clear, become pure, until seeing the truth is lying in him. That come to the beyond the final point, that knowledge and vision, see, tassanang again, that vimutti, liberation, jati, birth. Yanan japadame tasana utapati akupa me vimutti ayatima chati nati punapavoti. The knowledge and vision, seeings and know that there is a liberation in my mind. This is much like last rebirth. There are no more existence. So after the going through the 3 rounds of 12 permutations of the Four Noble Truth, it comes to the realization, there is nothing else at the end. Because throughout all this, the Buddha can still see all the cycle, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. But then, when after the whole 3 rounds of 12 permutation, he reached this point, there is nothing else there. This is my ending. This is the last rebirth. And that's why he was really happy. Itamavo ja pakava atama nang panjavakiya piku pakavato pasitang apinantung. And this is why the Buddha was so happy, and all the group of 5 monks were so delighted in the Buddha's statement that, wow, that's what it is they were looking for. Being able to abandon all the holding on to the self and allow the inner visions and the brightness to develop and go to each reflections of the Four Noble Truth in 3 rounds and 12 meditation. That will lead to the last rebirth, the end of cycle. And thus, imasamin japana vanjamamin panyamane ayasamato kontanya savirachang vitavanang tamajakkung utapati. And why this expression was given, Kontanya attained the Dhamma eye, Dhammacakkung, see, Dhamma eyes, which means at the time when it was, the Buddha led them into go through this journey of 3 rounds form of meditation. They didn't just listen, they let the mind go through along with it. at the same time, Gontaya was able to follow. His mind went through all this journey of 12 permutations with the Buddha until he reached the Dhammarais. And then, yang kinchi samutaya tamang sapanta nirota tamanti pawatite japakawata tamajakke pumma teva satamanusa vesung. This is really important. Because when I talk to you the story about Asachi gave one passage to Sariputta and led him to attain the stream enterer, the first step of enlightenment. This is the passage he was explaining. Whatever subjects to origination is all subject to cessation, which means whatever that has a beginning, there must be the end. And they saw it, what it's like. This is the beginning, this is the cause, and this is the ending. And this, through the Dhammarais, Gontaya was able to realize, to see the beginning and the end. And then that's when the Buddha set the wheel of motions of the Dhamma. Now it's in motions. Because of this passage, which means there is somebody who is able to witness and follow and attain the Buddha same ability. You see the cause? Yes. What cause suffering? Just like that. I saw it just like you explained to me. Tanha look like that. Through what? Through my vision, Jangkung, through my alogo brightness. And that's, that is the cause, that is the end. Gontaya could follow with his Dhammacakkappavattanasutta. And because of all this, the earth deities or the earth spirit, Pummateva, really, wow, finally there was a beginning of the third project. And right there, this is the part where it talks about Dhammacakkappavattanasutta Paranasi Yangsi Patane Bikataye at the Varanasi, at the Deer Park. The wheel of Dhamma has been set in motions. Because from now, the first person who was able to follow the Buddha saw the same, discovered the same the Buddha did, already happened. And then from this, the wheel will keep turning, the more discoveries from other people will coming. So that's cannot be stopped by an ascetic Brahmin, a Deva, Mara, Brahma, or anyone in the cosmos. And that's why from that crying, this is the passage where we talk about Pummanang Tevanang Satang Sutawa Chatum Harachika Teva Satamanusa Vesung, from the earth spirit of the earth Devas. Then they were uttering, exclaim in the sense of joy, so much that it reached to the first level of celestial realm. Jatu Maharachika is the first celestial realm. That's why it's called Jatu Maharachika, because the realm of the four great kings of that realms. They heard of this earth spirit crying out, so they also uttered the same exclamation and reached to the second level, reached to the third level, reached to the fourth level. So they keep getting more and more and more. And Devas, they were witnessing at that time, this was given all the way to the Sita, all the way to the fourth, the fifth, the sixth level of heaven, which means all the way to the top, or to what? All to the whole Brahman realms. All the way to 16 Brahman realms. So when we chant, we only talk about just the 6 realms of the celestial realms. But the longer version, it has the complete 16 realms, which means everything was keep mentioning further and further. Wow, somebody was able to follow through the Buddha discovery and saw what it is inside. And that's why it's set in motion. The Dhammacakkappavattanasutta Paranasi Yangsi Patane Mikataye Nutarang Dhammacakkappavattanasutta. All of this, now in the cosmos, nothing can really stop it. At the second, the whole world shook. The whole 10,000-fold world system shook. Yava Brahmaloka Satu Apukashe Yantatasasati Yantatasasai Lokatatu. In Buddhism, the Buddha also explained Lokatat as it has the 1 billion Chakawan. Chakawan's wheel that contain a number of planets. So there actually in Buddhism, we talk about so many galaxies, from solar system to galaxy, everything is in wheel motion. And there was, billions of these wheels out there. And when this realization was uttering from all the way to the Brahman realms, not only the shaking just in this Lokatatu that we live in, it's also shaking the 10,000-fold of the Lokatatu out there as well. So everything was moving. And from that insight, Lokatatu is here. Until with the grace measured radius, alo apamantano olalo opaso loke patola hosi atikame vatevanang tevanupavang. So with the radiance appears in the cosmos, which means the brightness sparkling at that time. Atako pakawa utanang utane si anya si watapo kontanyo anya si watapo kananyo. So at the end of the Dhammacakkappavattanasutta, come down to these two sentences. After all this uttering, from the, this is the 3 rounds of 12 permutations. The Buddha explained that before this, I have not been able to purify the Four Noble Truths. I never claim I have enlightened. But when I have purified them, I claim that I have enlightened because I see there is no more rebirth. Follow the incident by, Gonhaya said, oh wow, I saw that too. What is has the origin? Has a cessation. All the beings, utter until to the point then the Buddha would utter the same, Gonhaya. And because in this vision of the Buddha, he could see what the Gonhaya ascertained, what the Gonhaya could see, same thing. Like imagine both of us came to the same point, watching the same object, just like that. The Buddha saw, Gonhaya, you saw the same thing. You reached the same thing. That's why the Buddha said, Gonhaya has indeed understood, Anyasi, Anyamino. Watapo Gontanyo, Anyasi, Watapo Gontanyo. Here it translates understood, can be understood as no. Gonhaya, you already knew it. You knew it. You realized it. Iti hitang ayasabato kontanyasa anya kontanyo taweva namang ahositi. And that's why it becomes the conclusion. In this way, the Venerable Gontanya acquired the name Anya Gontanya, or translated Adanya, who has understood, and become the first one in Buddhism who was able to follow the Buddha, the same step into reaching the stream, enter, be able to see that there is the end of rebirth. There is the cause of rebirth, the method to realize how to end all this rebirth. So for this, the wheel of motion is set, and for this, after this, Gontanya asked for ordination to become the first monk in Buddhism. That led to the completion of the Triple Gem. Whenever I prepare this, when I read this and I try to put myself in that feeling, it's very, very profound. And I really feel so joyful, just the feeling of how, imagine that in the time of ignorance, nobody knows. Now we have been reading, practicing dhammas and meditation for some time. We're around it. This is the time when they were lost. There was nobody who knew it. There were many assumptions, theory, until one day the Buddha, he came and just completely with full confidence to say that I have found the way, and this is it. And when you follow this, there is no more rebirth. The whole humanity that has been looking for that, just drowning in ignorance, this is the chance. And then Gontanya was able to follow through it. And then the Buddha realized, and Gontanya, you realize it. And Gontanya said to himself, whatever has the origin has the end. And that is actually the realization of the Dhammacakkappavattanasutta, which is set the whole thing set to be in motion. And the rest of the 45 years of the Buddha's teaching, it came down to this realization. It came down to this explanation. So that's why Gontanya afterward is known Anya Gontanya, Gontanya, the one who knew. And it was his resolution in previous lifetime that he wanted to be the first one in one of the Buddha's lifetime to become the first to reach enlightenment, to become the first monk. So that is the profoundness. And the rest of 45 years was to elaborate the significance. What is the meaning of dukkha? The Buddha has one sentence that he made. He said, in my life, I taught two things. What is the nature of sufferings and how to eradicate them? That's what the Buddha said. So in his life, 45 years of the Buddha, he taught two things. What is the nature of sufferings and how to eradicate them? Where did they come from? The Four Noble Truths. So I hope that for the past 3 days, and with this last one, it gives you appreciation and deep respect to the Buddhas, for all the senior monks in the past, even the Luang Pu, Great Master, and Luang Po, who has been devoting their life and time in the practice with the realization to give us different explanation until we are able to understand that how profound Dhammacakkappavattanasutta is. So I hope that next time, and from this on, that we're going to recite the Dhammacakkappavattanasutta together, you will recite it with this deep appreciation and this feeling of joy. Because that's what Luang Por said, that for us to really bear the most benefit from the chanting, from the recitation, we don't just follow what the video was saying on the screen, but let the mind come to the center, so that we can continue to reflect upon the nature of this profoundness of the sutta. So I really hope that this will give you the better understanding for the Dhammacakkappavattanasutta, and most importantly, the appreciation when you're doing it. So the next part, we're going to be doing the recitation together in homage to Luang Por Dhammashi's 81st years anniversary.
Eva me sutang
Ekang samayang bhagava paranasiyang viharati isipatane mikataye tatrako bhagava pancavakhiye bhikkhu amante sitave me bhikkhave anta papachite nana sevita payo jayang kame sukama sukhalika nuyoko hino kammo poto chaniko anariyo anatasanhito yo jayang atakilamathanu tukho anariyo anatasanhito ete te bhikkhave upo ante anupakamma chima patipatha tathakatena apisambuddha jakukaraniya nakarani upasamaya apinyaya sambuddhaya nippanaya samvatati katama jasa bhikkhave machima patipatha tathakatena apisambuddha jakukaraniya nakarani upasamaya apinyaya sambuddhaya nippanaya samvatati Ewa awamako sayati tang samma titi samma sangkappo samma waca samma kammanto samma ajiwo samma wayamo samma sati samma samadhi ayang kosa bhikkhave machima patipatha tathakatena apisambuddha jakukaraniya nakarani upasamaya apinyaya sambuddhaya nippanaya samvatati ithang kopana bhikkhave tukkhaṃ ariya saccang chati pitukha cara pitukha maranam pitukhaṃ soka paritewa tukhato manasupayasa pitukha apiyehi sampayoko tukho piyehi vipayoko tukho ยัมปิชังนาลปฏิตัมปิทุกขังสังขิเตนะปัญจุปาทานาขันธาทุกขาอิทังโคปนะภิกขเวทุกขสมุทัยโยอริยสัจจังยายังตัณหาโปโนภวิกานันทิราคะสหคตาตาตระตาตราภินันทินิสัยยติทังกามตัณหาภวตัณหาวิภวตัณหาอิทังโคปนะภิกขเวทุกขนิโรโธอริยสัจจังโยตัสสะเยวตัณหายาเสสวิราคะนิโรโธจาโคปฏินิสสะโคโมติอนาลโยอิทังโคปนะภิกขเวทุกขนิโรธคามินีปฏิปทาอริยสัจจังอายเมวะอริโยอัตถังคิโกมาโคสัยยทิทังสัมมาทิฏฐิสัมมาสังกัปโปสัมมาวาจาสัมมากัมมันโตสัมมาอาชีโวสัมมาวายาโมสัมมาสติสัมมาสมาธิ
อิทังทุกขัง
อริยสัจจันติเมภิกขเวปุเพอนันโนสุเตสุธัมเมสุจักขุงอุทปปาทิญาณังอุทปปาทิปัญญาอุทปปาทิวิชชาอุทปปาทิอาโลโกอุทปปาทิตังโขปนิทังทุกขังอริยสัจจังปริญญายันติเมภิกขเวปุเพอนันโนสุเตสุธัมเมสุจักขุงอุทธปาทิญาณังอุทธปาทิปัญญาอุทธปาทิวิชชาอุทธปาทิอาโลโกอุทธปาทิตังโขปนิทังทุกขังอริยสัจจังปริญญาตันติเมภิกขเวปุเพอนันโนสุเตสุธัมเมสุจักขุงอุทธปาทิญาณังอุทธปาทิปัญญาอุทธปาทิวิชชาอุทธปาทิอาโลโกอุทธปาทิอิทังทุกขสมุทัยโยอริยสัจจันติเมภิกขเวปุเพอนันโนสุเตสุธัมเมสุจักขุงอุทธปาทิญาณังอุทธปาทิปัญญาอุทธปาทิวิชชาอุทธปาทิอาโลโกอุทธปาทิตังโขปนิทังทุกขสมุทัยโยอริยสัจจังปหาตัพพันติเมภิกขเวปุเพอนันโนสุเตสุธัมเมสุจักขุงอุทธปาทิญาณังอุทธปาทิปัญญาอุทธปาทิวิชชาอุทธปาทิอาโลโกอุทธปาทิตังโขปนิทังทุกขสมุทัยโยอริยสัจจังปหินันติเมภิกขเวปุเพอนันโนสุเตสุธัมเมสุจักขุงอุทธปาทิญาณังอุทธปาทิปัญญาอุทธปาทิวิชชาอุทธปาทิอาโลโกอุทธปาทิอิทังทุกขนิโรโธอริยสัจจันติเมภิกขเวปุเพอนันโนสุเตสุธัมเมสุจักขุงอุทธปาทิญาณังอุทธปาทิปัญญาอุทธปาทิวิชชาอุทธปาทิอาโลโกอุทธปาทิตังโขปนิทังทุกขนิโรโธอริยสัจจังสัจฉิกาตัพพันติเมภิกขเวปุเพอนันโนสุเตสุธัมเมสุจักขุงอุท ทปปาทิญาณังอุทธปปาทิปัญญาอุทธปปาทิวิชชาอุทธปปาทิอาโลโกอุทธปปาทิตังโฆปนิทังทุกขนิโรโธอริยสัจจังสัจจิกตันติเมภิกขเวปุเพอนันโนสุเตสุธัมเมสุจักขุงอุทธปปาทิญาณังอุทธปปาทิปัญญาอุทธปปาทิวิชชาอุทธปปาทิอาโลโกอุทธปปาทิอิทังทุกขนิโรธคามินีปฏิปทาอริยสัจจันติเมภิกขเวปุเพอนันโนสุเตสุธัมเมสุจักขุงอุทธปปาทิญาณังอุทธปปาทิปัญญาอุทธปปาทิวิชชาอุทธปปาทิอาโลโกอุทธปปาทิตังโฆปนิทังทุกขนิโรธคามินีปฏิปทาอริยสัจจังภาเวตาพันติเมภิกขเวปุเพอนันโนสุเตสุธัมเมสุจักขุงอุทธปปาทิญาณังอุทธปปาทิปัญญาอุทธปปาทิวิชชาอุทธปปาทิอาโลโกอุทธปปาทิตังโฆปนิทังทุกขนิโรธคามินีปฏิปทาอริยสัจจังภาวิตันติเมภิกขเวปุเพอนันโนสุเตสุธัมเมสุจักขุงอุทธปปาทิญาณังอุทธปปาทิปัญญาอุทธปปาทิวิชชาอุทธปปาทิอาโลโกอุทธปปาทิยาวกีวันจะเมภิกขเวอิเมสุจตุสุอริยสัจเจสุเอวันติปริวัตตังทวาทสาการังยถาภูตังญาณทัสสนังนสุวิสุทธังอโหสิเนวตาวาหังภิกขเวสเทวเกโลเกสมาระเกสพรหมเกสสมณพรหมนิยาปชายสเทวมนุสายอนุตตรังสัมมาสัมโพธิงอภิสัมพุทโธปัจจัญญาสิงยโตจะโคเมภิกขเวอิเมสุจตุสุอริยสัจเจสุเอวันติปริวัตตังทวาทสาการังยถาภูตังญาณทัสสนังสุวิสุทธังอโหสิอัฏฐาหังภิกขเวสเทวเกโลเกสมาระเกสพรหมเกสสมณพรหมนิยาปชายสเทวมนุสายอนุตตรังสัมมาสัมโพธิงอภิสัมพุทโธปัจจัญญาสิงญาณัญจปนเมทัสสนังอุทธปปาทิอกุปปาเมวิมุตติอายมันติมาชาตินาติธานิปุนาภโวติอิธรรมโวจะภควาอัตตมนาปัญจวัคคียาภิกขุภควโตภาสิตังอภินันทุงอิมาสมิงจะปนวัยยาการณาสมิงพันยมาเนอายาสมโตโกนทัญญาสวิรชังวิตมลังธรรมจักขุงอุทธปปาทิยังกินจิสมุทัยธรรมังสัพพันตังนิโรธธรรมันติภวัติเตจะภควตาธรรมจักเกภูมิมาเทวาสัทธมโนสาเวสุงเอตัมภควตาภาลานสิยังอิสิปตเนมิคทาเยอนุตตรังธรรมจักกังปวัตติตังอาปฏิวัติยังสมเนนวาพรหมเนนวาเทเวนวามาเรนวาพรหมุนาวาเกณจิวาโลกัสมินติ
ภูมานัง
เทวานังสัทธังสุตวาจาตุมหาราชิกาเทวาสัทธมโนสาเวสุงจาตุมหาราชิกานังเทวานังสัทธังสุตวาตาวติงสาเทวาสัทธมโนสาเวสุงตาวติงสานังเทวานังสัทธังสุตวายามาเทวาสัทธมโนสาเวสุงยามานังเทวานังสัทธังสุตวาตุสิตาเทวาสัทธมโนสาเวสุงตุสิตานังเทวานังสัทธังสุตวานิมมานรติเทวาสัทธมโนสาเวสุงนิมมานรตินังเทวานังสัทธังสุตวาปรนิมมิตวสวัตติเทวาสัทธมโนสาเวสุงปรนิมมิตวสวัตตินังเทวานังสัทธังสุตวาพรหมกายิกาเทวาสัทธมโนสาเวสุงเอตัมภควตาภาราณสิยังอิสิปตเนมิคทาเยอนุตตรังธรรมจักกังปวัตติตังอาปฏิวัติยังสัมมเนนวาพระมเนนวาเทเวนวามาเรนวาพระมุนาวาเกณจิวาโลกัสมินติ
อิติหะเตนะคะเน
นะเตนะโมโหเตนะยาวะพรหมโลกาสัตโตอาภูคาจิอายัญจัตสสหัสสีโลกธาตุสังกัมปิสัมปะกัมปิสัมปะเวทิอาปมาโนจะโอลาโลโอภาโสโลเกปาตุระโหสิอติกัมเมวะเทวานังเทวานุภาวังอัตถโคภควาอุทานังอุทานเนสิอัญญาสิวัตโพโกนทันโยอัญญาสิวัตโพโกนทันโยติอิติหิทังอายสมโตโกนทันยาสอัญญาโกนทันโยตเววนามังอาโหสิติ
And now that we have completed the chanting of Dhammacakkappavattanasutta, let us close the eyes and bring our mind back to the center of the body to recollect of the good deeds that we have cultivated from the first day of this program to learn about Pali chanting to commemorate the Vesak and the first year's anniversary of Dhammacakkappavattanasutta. So let's recall of the good deeds that you have well cultivated. With your mind stay still gently at the center of the body until all of those merits slowly formulate into a bright, clear sphere. It's similar to the sun, radiating so brightly, yet its texture is crystal clear and prestigious. Let your mind stay still with a bright, clear sphere of merit until it makes you feel very joyful, blissful, elated. And then let us offer this merit as a token of respect and gratitude to our respected dear Master Luang Por Thamachayo, who have devoted his life to teach meditation, to guide everyone towards the path of inner peace and true happiness. All of us who have come to this program together clearly be because of Luang Por Thamachayo. So we met, we learned, we practiced. And for that, we are greatly in debt. But Luang Por, always full of kindness, encourage us to practice, offer us knowledge, space and opportunity to further cultivate good deeds. So let's offer this merit to Luang Por Thamachayo. So may our accumulated merit bring him good health, longevity, free from obstacles and challenges, and any endeavor that Luang Por wants to pursue may it easily succeed at, so that we can continue to follow in his footsteps and his path for our own cultivation, realization, and liberation. So let us all use this moment to offer the merit to Luang Por Thamachayo with a mind that full of appreciation, gratitude. Feel the presence of Luang Por Thamachayo in the middle of your right via merit sphere. Place it there, deeply at the center.สัพเพพุทธาภลปตาปัจเจกานันจะยังพลังอรหันตานันจะเตชะนรคังกันธามิสัพพโสสัพพพุทธานุภาเวนะสัพพธัมมานุภาเวนะสัพพสังฆานุภาเวนะสทาโสติภวันตุเตอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธภควาพุทธังภควันตังอภิวาเทมิ Buddha Minato, the Buddha is our refuge. Sawakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami. Dhammo Minato, the Dhamma is our refuge. Supati Panno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Sangho Minato, the Sangha is our refuge.
bow, bow, bow. I'd like to express our deep gratitude to Venerable Passcode for guiding us through the Buddha's first teaching, Dhammacakkappavattanasutta, over these 3 days. His deep and clear explanations and practical insights have helped us connect with this profound teaching in a meaningful way. When the Buddha declares Anya Sivatapo Gontanyo, Gontanya has indeed understood. We witnessed the first moment of awakening in another person beside the Buddha. So we have learned that these teachings can continue to guide our practice beyond this program and eventually to enlighten us one day in the future. And as of today, we conclude the teaching portion of our program. I'd like to take a moment to reflect on the journey we have taken together. Over the past 15 days, we have explored a wide range of Pali chants, from daily devotional recitations to protective verses, from ethical guidelines to profound expositions of the Dhamma. Each of these chants connects us to a living tradition of practice and wisdom that spans more than 2.5 millennia. So I'd like to encourage you to select at least a few of the chants, or a few lines, or even a few words that have studied to incorporate into your regular practice, and allow these words of the Buddha's wisdom to continue working in your heart and mind. As a special reminder, tomorrow evening we begin our program with evening chanting and meditation at 6:30 p.m. Then we will have our examination tutoring session in Thai from 7 p.m. to 7:45 by Venerable Pramaha Virapong Nimaro. And then at 7:45 to around 8:30, we will have the English tutoring session. So this will be an opportunity to review what we have learned and clarify any uncertainties and prepare for your certificate examination. So please join us. And last but not least, may the merits of learning and practicing Dhammas of the Buddha bring peace to our minds and all beings. May you all be blessed with wisdom and wealth, good health and happiness. May you all attain the light of Dhammakaya shining within you. Thank you all for your dedicated participation. You are awesome and admirable. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you and have a good night.